your love for that and your passion and your zeal for getting better will be what makes you desirable to cool themed entertainment firms.
1, 2, 3. That's good?
Yeah, that's way better.
All right, cool.
There we go.
Hey guys, how's it going? Chien here with Theme Park Arts Podcast. I have a really special guest today, Alex, a lighting designer from EXP. And this is really cool because I don't know anything about lighting design, but at Theme Park Arts, we're about exploring the different art forms. There's so many different art forms.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and now we are talking to a lighting designer, and he's going to tell us a little bit about what he does, what is lighting design, and I've taken like one class in college about lighting design, so I know
Everybody gets a little bit, they get a little taste somewhere, it seems like.
this is really cool because you sent me like a PDF portfolio, and I saw some of the projects you worked on. Can you tell us, the audience, a little bit about yourself and like what you've done?
Sure. Okay. I'm an architectural lighting designer, and so for anyone who doesn't know, what that means is it's kind of a cross between architecture, interior design, electrical engineering, and lighting.
Okay.
And it's the study of light in human-centric environments.
Okay.
Sometimes animals as well.
Animals?
Yeah.
Like zoos?
Yep, sometimes zoos, aquariums, but more often than not, the non-theme park architectural lighting designers, it's human-centric environments.
Oh, okay. Wait, can we just back up real quick?
Yeah.
What are the different types of lighting designers? I didn't even know there were different types. Like architectural, theater?
Sure, yeah, definitely. So you've got your theatrical lighting designers, which I'm sure anybody in theater has come across, a lighting designer at some point in their theatrical career.
Okay.
And then some people in theater stick around in theater. Some people find their way out of theater, and a lot of us who find our way out of theater, we still have those skills from theatrical lighting. And so really it's a really close relationship between theatrical lighting and architectural lighting, because it's the same principles, the same contrast between dark and light, to draw attention to something and set the scene and tell the story, whether it's a story in the way we think of a play or a story, or the story of this resort, this environment they want you to fall into and believe that you're in. You've got your architectural lighting designers, theatrical lighting designers, and there's a lot of crossover between the two.
Okay.
But I would say that's really your main two types of lighting designers would be theatrical or architectural.
What about in the movies, like in Hollywood? What are those guys called?
Sure. So those, I'm completely missing those guys. Yeah, you've got lighting designers for film and TV as well, which is more like theatrical lighting design.
Okay.
But it is, I would say, even more, I don't want to say temporary isn't the right word, but it's an impermanent setup. You know, when you're filming a TV show or a movie, that soundstage is not going to be there forever. It's there for the scene, and then they take it down. So the lights are rigged up in a way that is just for the shot and getting the shot, and then they reset, which is a ton of work. And then you step over to theatrical lighting design, where maybe that type of design might even be the same approach, the same type of fixtures and layout that you would go with for a TV show or a movie, but it's going to last longer because a play or a musical is going to, or even a band, a concert. Concert. They're going to tour, and so they're going to have dates after dates in different cities. Then you go one step further to basically make it permanent, and that's where architectural lighting design kind of sits, because those buildings are intended to be there for as long as they last, really.
Okay.
So it's kind of the scale. It's all the same. It's all the same principles, understanding the physics of lighting and the properties of light, and the art between shadow and light as well. But it ranges from a real temporary setup on a film or movie studio through theme parks and concerts, or all the way to architecture.
And before, you said something about electrical engineering. Is there a really technical part of lighting design as well?
Yes, definitely. So in lighting design, really you're not doing your job entirely if you haven't taken the electrical engineering needs into consideration. So
What are
you need to
those?
think about how much energy your design is pulling.
Okay.
You need to think about how this system is going to be controlled, which now with the way technology is advanced, they're computer systems. We're not talking about basic controls for original incandescent lights, which was basically just you have sent electricity to something or you have disabled electricity. Now you're actually talking about computers where they need to control whether it's 11% dim or 12%, or if it's blue or green. So, or maybe at different times of day, the brightness of the fixtures changes based on the actual daylight that's coming in. So the control systems are also a huge component of architectural lighting design, because like I said, it's about human needs in the space, and you don't always need artificial lighting in a space. How do you provide artificial light that augments what the natural world cannot provide in your space? We work hand in hand with electrical engineers to make sure that our sometimes creative concepts and maybe not quite unreasonable might not be the right word, but little pie in the sky dreaming of concepts, how we kind of tone them down and make them realistic concepts that can be actually put into a resort or a restaurant or a store.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah.
How did you get started in like lighting design? Like how I don't know many lighting designers. Was it like you always had a fascination with light, or you got introduced to it when you were doing theater, or?
I would say I was of the variety that kind of always had a fascination with lights. I never really knew what to do with that. I never really knew how to channel that, I guess, until much later on in theater it started becoming clearer, and then much later when I learned architectural lighting even existed, which was I think about 6 years ago. Then I really kind of saw an alley for me to fit into. But yeah, going back to when I was in middle school, I used to do the lights for the local haunted house. I was the lighting guy.
That's cool.
For that kind of stuff.
Sounds creative.
Yeah, definitely. I love just and that is theater for sure. You're using classic lighting tricks to get people to look one way, and then there's a monster. Too. Yes, and you're creating emotion in every scene. So maybe you don't the difference between using blue in a cemetery versus using red or green. What kind of environments you trying to create, what emotions you trying to evoke, like you said. And really it's the same concepts that we try to bring to architecture. What is this space? We ask the architects and the interior designers, how do you want the space to feel? Is it open? Is it warm and homey feeling? Or is it grand and natural and filled with daylight? So, or even colors. So there's a lot of art, but there's also a lot of the engineering that has to go into it, and also a lot of these fixtures now are becoming I mean, you can buy a lot of these things. You know, Philips Hue sells these lights, and so
like DJ booths and stuff, right?
Yeah, that kind of stuff. Yeah. But if you think about like how narrow like the tape light is these days, like designers want light like that in everything. So we kind of have to figure out how you can take a tape light and make it not only fit in a certain area, but survive guests, you know, and being in a retail space or some sort of commercial environment that's going to get a lot of traffic.
Okay. Hey, I have a question.
Sure.
Like in like video games and movies and stuff, when concept artists create pieces, like from a lighting designer perspective, do you see us making any mistakes or doing the same cliches over? Because I feel like in a lot of concept art, we want everything to look epic.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
And I don't know from like a lighting designer perspective if you're like, dude, that's like the same lighting setup that they're doing over and over again. Because
I wouldn't say it's that we see. It's funny you say that we definitely see this from concept artists who, you know. Okay, so the way the process works for my team is, you know, you've got your conceptual schematic concept phase of construction.
Yeah.
You've got your detailed design phase where that's what we start making sense of how something can become reality. And then construction documents phase where these are the documents the contractors will build from, right?
Yeah.
So in the conceptual phase, you see a lot of renderings. You see a lot of ideas, a lot of pictures that have been pulled from Google or Pinterest or photoshopped, and maybe they're SketchUp models that have been built, and they look great. But a lot of the times they don't really think about the physics of light and where it's actually possible for light to come from. So a great example of that would be we do a lot of resorts that have pools, and pools have very specific guidelines for nighttime lighting. They have to have certain safety levels so that you know, guests are safe. Whether or not there is night swimming, it kind of changes. But you know, if there is night swimming, you need so much light through the water that a lifeguard can see a person down at the bottom of the pool if they needed to. And same on the deck around the pool, it needs to be lit to a certain degree so it's safe. Clients and developers don't really want a pool that is uniform in its lighting levels. And when I say uniform, you think of like if you go inside a Walmart or a Target, their lighting levels, there's no contrast, there's no drama, there are no shadows. Everything is lit exactly the same, right? And that's on purpose because you just need to see everything the same. But when you go into a high-end resort pool deck, there should be some drama to that. There should be some hierarchy to the landscape. You're creating layers and you're telling a story with that environment. But if you have to safely light this deck, it all has to be...
It's gonna look kind of lame.
Like a sports field almost.
Sports
exactly.
Field. Oh, no.
You think of like a baseball diamonds, like that's lit. That's not fun. That's just lit to utility needs.
You
like,
can't do like spotlights. That's like against like the regulations.
You can, but you need to do that in addition to can't do spotlights on the deck. The deck has to be very uniform. But you could do spotlights like up on trees. So you can highlight trees upwards.
Okay.
You could highlight pieces of the architecture. Your pool deck is probably not going to be super exciting. And
that's safety.
It's safety. So we, in order to achieve these very uniform levels of lighting, have to put lights in a lot of places. That's not always what a client wants. They don't necessarily want to see lights all over the place because it does break up the drama, the contrast, the really moody environment that they might be, the cool vibe.
Cool eyes. So this is like the difference between architectural lighting and theater lighting, right? Because in theater you can kind of like kind of play around more.
Doesn't matter. You don't have codes in theater. You're just creating a scene, right?
Yeah.
So if it's supposed to be a moody, oh man, you make it nice and moody and creepy. Doesn't matter. We set that in. Not that you'd want a creepy pool deck per se, but maybe a haunted mansion pool. That'd be cool. Or the Tower of Terror needs a pool, I guess. If you go to any Disney pool at night, you will see, boom, it looks like
interesting.
It's just completely even. So I would say the one thing we see consistently in renderings is concept artists start to give clients the idea that they can have this cool pool deck where lights will come out from underneath the chairs and which can be done, but is not realistic on a grand scale when you're working within a reasonable budget.
Yeah.
So we just see a lot of things that make us kind of laugh because it's great in theory, but we're not quite there yet, I guess.
Yeah. I think that's really great that I'm learning about this kind of stuff from you because as a concept artist,
we can all learn. Yeah, for sure.
I'll know like, okay, I can create. I don't want to give the client something, an illustration that I know can't be real.
Right.
You know?
Yep.
But if I have like, I know like the pool needs to be evenly lit. There are stairs here. The stairs need to be lit, obviously.
Right, exactly. So that's a perfect example. You've got this cool pool deck and you've got, say, a really cool stair that's linking two levels of the pool deck. That stair better be bright because it will be bright. And the client, when they go out on site and say, what the heck? Why are my stairs so bright? There's nothing we can do about that. That's an important thing that nobody likes to tell the client.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen.
But as a concept artist, I think using those constraints, we can be creative about them. And I don't know what's the solution, but like there's a box. And
it's just understanding. I think the solution is just like you said, like artists and from all sides, just kind of understanding the opposite side better and knowing. I think what makes my team very valuable in the lighting design field as a whole is my team works hand in hand with mechanical, electrical, plumbing engineers, structural engineers.
That's cool.
Technology, AV engineers. So any facet of engineering, we have a daily communication with these folks. And when we have trouble, when we need to understand, can our light actually be mounted there? Is there the structural... is that going to get in the way of a pipe? Is there plumbing there? We have those guys, and so our knowledge of those disciplines starts to grow, and we start to take that into consideration earlier on. We start to know, well, they're going to be putting duct here. We have to take into consideration that our downlights are going to have to work with them.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I have a question.
Sure.
I mean, obviously, the audience can tell that you're really experienced, Could you tell us about some of your, non-NDA projects that have been built that you can talk about? Like, what are some of the coolest things that you've worked on?
Sure. We are... so EXP does a lot of cool projects that, like you said, are non-disclosure projects. I don't want to, product there. No, understood. I definitely have to give a shout out to EXP because they're a really cool firm and seem to have our hand in most cool themed entertainment stuff that's going on out there, and that's really exciting. But we also, in addition to themed entertainment, do a lot of hospitality. We do gaming, casinos, and
cool.
Also schools, so our themed entertainment group also does a lot of hospitality, meaning large resort complexes, which is not terribly different than themed entertainment. And so I would say some large resort complexes that I've worked on. There's one in Columbus Circle. They're just finishing now in New York, the Riverside Tower complex. That was one of my first big resort complexes. I think I sent you in my portfolio the New Balance stores. Yeah,
retail and
those
stuff. That's cool.
Those were some of my first conception to construction projects. There's one in Boston and one in San Francisco, and they're their flagship store. And yeah, that was super cool. I spent a lot of time doing a lot of 3D modeling. And you might have seen that in the my portfolio. The pseudo color renderings were actually showing kind of heat mapping of the different lighting levels. So I can build a 3D model, and with the pseudo color rendering, I can see it's a little too dark over here, a little too bright over here, and really just manipulate the whole model. So I know. And I don't have to use pseudo color rendering. I can also make it look realistic.
It looks like the Predator.
It does.
I was like, what is this for? I was like, oh, interesting.
Yep. I find it really easy. A lot of people, they also pull up photometric data, which is also what I use. But I just find it almost feels like I'm crafting it a bit more when I'm using a pseudo color heat map. I can, without getting too mired into numbers when I don't need numbers, I can see highs and lows.
Okay, cool, man.
So yeah, there's New Balance. There was a cool. What's that?
Monte Carlo.
Yeah, one at my last company, the Monte Carlo Resort in Vegas, which is now the Park MGM. We did.
By the way, in your portfolio, was that Photoshop or were those?
No, those
photos?
were real.
Oh,
that was a mock-up.
Oh, cool.
So
I didn't know what that meant. Like mock-up. Like this is like.
Yeah, no, that's
cool.
real. Like that's.
Wow.
So what that was we were hired to do a feasibility study to see if the Park MGM / Monte Carlo were to upgrade their exterior facade lighting, what their options would be.
Okay.
And so I studied the facade of the building and just kind of what some cool concepts would be to bring to that facade. And we presented a number of concepts to them. They decided they liked, it was kind of almost a pinstripe look, I guess you could say. There are these large pilaster columns in between bays of windows, and the goal, like you can see in the picture, we were going to uplight each of those, so it'd have this rhythm across the tower of uplighting those columns and really accenting the height of the tower. So what we did was we got samples of the fixtures. We got a big old crane and some contractors, some walkie-talkies, and we went out on site. And I went across the street with some representatives from MGM Resorts, and the guys in the crane went up and started focusing lights, focused them where we told them to focus them, and we got some photographs of what the concept would actually look like on the building. Unfortunately, it didn't end up working out because in Vegas, a lot of the facades, it's not so much this anymore, but the previous generation of Vegas resorts, the facades were largely carved out of styrofoam.
Oh, okay. It
because
melted?
It was inexpensive.
Okay.
No, they didn't melt, but they aren't in great shape.
Oh.
And so the Monte Carlo in particular, this isn't really a secret, I guess, but their facade is made of styrofoam, and when you shoot a tightly held beam, like a very narrow degree optic beam of light up a wall, that's called a graze. You really draw out all of the details, all the texture of the wall, and styrofoam's not in very good shape. So the lighting effect worked, but the building isn't in very good shape, and they really didn't want to pay to renovate. They really only wanted to paint it.
Yeah. It doesn't look good up close.
Does not.
But it looks good far away.
It does. If you look at the pictures really closely, you can see it's like the expansion joints in particular are the caulking is all kind of like rotted out.
Oh.
So they're like a couple inches wide now. It's not like a smooth surface anymore.
Oh.
So unfortunately, the concept was really cool, but it just didn't work in practice. But I mean, that's the way it goes sometimes.
That's cool to know.
Yeah.
Like the practical side of it. It's not just about the photograph. You know, there's things behind the scene. That's super cool.
Yeah.
Let me see. I think we're doing.
Yeah. No, we're great. Yeah.
Let me see. Yeah, I don't know. That sounds great, man. I mean, I can't think of any other. Do you have any questions you want to talk about, or do you have any questions you want to ask me, or anything you want to talk about?
I don't know. I mean, lighting is obviously. I'm pretty excited. I have a light bulb tattoo on my arm. This is Edison's
That's a
patent.
light bulb tattoo.
This is Edison's patent for the light bulb. Yeah,
that's cool.
So I'm pretty passionate about lighting. So I mean, I could talk about lighting forever. So, but you know, I love lighting, and I love theme parks in particular. So when we get to work on themed entertainment projects, it's super exciting.
Yeah.
And we do a bunch of cool stuff with sea creatures and prehistoric animals and
like zoos and aquariums. That kind of, is that what you mean by?
well, I was also alluding to other maybe Orlando friends.
All right, gotcha.
But yeah, we do zoos and stuff. But yeah, no, we do. We have done aquariums. I have not done an aquarium yet. But there are a lot of cool rides in Orlando that my team has done.
Okay.
There are international parks that my team has been a part of.
All right.
I know my boss and my mentor, Aram Eben, he kind of cut his teeth on Islands of Adventure in Universal. A couple of the lands he was the lighting designer for. So,
that's cool.
Yeah, we do a lot of fun stuff. And I think if we are doing our job right, I don't mean to sound like I'm patting myself on the back too much, but if lighting is done properly, like the environments in a themed space are just taken to the next level.
Nice.
You know, if you think about the difference between Pandora or Toy Story Land during the day and then at night, or Storybook Land in is it Storybook Land? What are they called? Dumbo's mini land.
New Fantasyland?
In New Fantasyland, his area is Storybook Circus. Anyway, or Dino Land USA in Animal Kingdom. You know, those lands come to life at night.
It's a bonus. You know, it makes it even better. Which is funny because I was talking to a structural engineering guy, and he was saying, like, when we do our job right, no one notices. Or like a right show control, right?
Yep.
And it's like when they do their job right, no one knows that they were even there.
I mean, to a degree, lighting is the same. Like, if we do our job right, nobody should really know that we're there. But, like, they feel that we're there.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, it's cool. I mean, you want to take more pictures of Pandora and stuff. I love
And
lighting.
you look up at Splash Mountain and you say, oh my God, or Big Thunder, and you say, wow, how cool does that look at night now?
Yeah.
That makes you want to see that at night. But I don't think you're necessarily, I am, but I don't think most guests are necessarily saying, wow, look at the cool lighting design for that ride. You know, they just say, look at Big Thunder Mountain.
It should be natural and seamless.
It should be seamless, right. It just enhances the environment as opposed to, you know, making it clear that it is the illusion. What is that saying? Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Let's see, last words. Do you have any tips for students who maybe want to go into lighting design? Like, maybe there are some, I don't know, theater, lighting design kids watching this? I don't know.
Sure, yeah. I would say there are a few schools out there, not many, but there are a few schools out there that actually have lighting programs.
Okay.
I know Penn State is one where my boss and my Padawan, my former intern, she just came from Penn State, and a number of people at EXP came from there.
Okay, Penn State.
I think SCAD has lighting. There are a few others I'm not thinking of, but really, I would say just keep playing. So a lot of people who, when I was growing up and people understood I wanted to do theme park design, they would put me in touch with theme park designers, or hey, he was an Imagineer, and I would kind of get tips from them. And something that I heard a lot of was just keep working hard at what you're good at and what you enjoy, and your expertise in a certain field eventually will just shine through. So it shouldn't be about, you want to get into theme parks and lighting is your avenue. It should be you love lighting, you love sound design, you love something, and just your love for that and your passion and your zeal for getting better and sleeplessly learning about that field will be what makes you desirable to cool themed entertainment firms, or Disney or Universal or whoever, or an EXP that does all the same stuff.
For sure.
Just don't get the credit.
That's awesome, man. Great words. Are there any things that you want to plug, like Twitter, Instagram, or your company's website you want to tell the viewers about?
Yeah, I mean,
it's like self-promotion time.
Yeah, sure. I didn't even think about it. Sure. What is I'm gonna look at my Instagram because I can't remember my Instagram handle offhand.
And I'll link it below so they can just click on it.
Sure. Yeah. But my Instagram, I don't really Twitter or tweets. Oh my God, I don't Twitter.
Okay.
But yeah, my Instagram, ADGorg05. I try to take cool pictures at my projects and stuff. EXP, we do cool stuff. Yeah, I don't know. Just I would say if you're interested in the industry, try and figure out how to get involved in the TEA, the Themed Entertainment Association.
Yeah.
And one way or another, we'll bump into each other because that's a small networking group, and everybody is really excited about helping the next generation of designers and artists move up.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Alex.
Yeah,
this was a really great
me.
podcast. Yeah.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
And that's a wrap. All right.